Imagine standing in front of an ancient stone wall, not just any old one, but one that has held secrets for centuries. Many pass by it without noticing. Others feel a shiver just looking at it, but few stop to listen to what it has to say. I stopped, and it was there, right in the heart of Jerusalem, that I began to understand what that sealed, forgotten, but never ignored place really meant. This story is not about archaeology. It is about faith, and about how a simple gate can carry promises, hopes, and spiritual wars that still impact the world today. You may never have heard of the Golden Gate. You may not even know that there is something sealed in the eastern wall of the old city of Jerusalem. But whether you are Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, this gate touches your history, even if you haven't realized it yet. Behind those stone blocks is a portal that many believe will be opened at the end of time. And this is not a conspiracy theory. It is a prophetic promise. Therefore, I ask you to stay until the end of this journey, because what is sealed before our eyes may be about to be revealed. In the Christian faith, we believe that Jesus, when he entered Jerusalem riding a donkey, passed through this very gate. It was a direct fulfillment of Zechariah's prophecy. See, your king is coming to you, humble and riding on a donkey. And if he passed through there once, many believe that it will be through there that he will return. It's not just stone. It's not just history. It is a milestone in eternity. It is a point where heaven and earth touched, and can touch again. That is why this gate is at the center of hope for millions of people around the world. But few people know why this gate was sealed, and who did it. In 1541, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent ordered the gate to be closed with bricks and cement, simply sealed, without any clear explanation. But there is something interesting. He knew about the prophecies. He knew that the Jews were expecting the Messiah to come that way, and many believe that by closing the gate, he wanted to prevent the promise from being fulfilled. Not with weapons, but with bricks, a human attempt to stop the divine plan. Furthermore, he had a cemetery built in front of the gate. Why? According to Jewish law, a priest cannot pass through a cemetery without becoming impure. And since the Messiah would be of the priestly lineage, the idea was to create not only a physical barrier, but a spiritual one. But did the plan work? Can bricks and tombs stop God from moving? Have you ever seen a human plan that could stop a heavenly promise? Well, I haven't either. Today the gate remains closed, but there is something in the air, a tension, an expectation, a silence that screams. It is being watched, respected, feared. Israelis, Muslims, archaeologists, world leaders, they all look at it, some with fear, others with hope. But everyone knows that gate is no ordinary one. He's not dead. He's on hold. And in that silence, he seems to whisper, "When the time is right, I will open." Some places in the world are just piles of rocks. Others, however, have a soul. The Golden Gate, set into the eastern wall of Jerusalem, seems to be one of those rare spots where the sky bends down to touch the earth. It is not there by chance. It is located directly opposite the Mount of Olives, one of the places most mentioned in end-time prophecies. It is from there that, according to the prophets, the Messiah will descend, and he will enter through this very gate. It is no coincidence. It is a prophetic map drawn with divine precision. The Bible is clear in its references. In Ezekiel 44, the prophet says that the eastern gate must remain closed because the Lord, the God of Israel, has passed through it, and that only the prince may sit there to eat bread in the presence of the Lord. This passage resonates in the hearts of many scholars. It does not speak only of a time in the past, but of a time in the future. It is as if the gate were sealed, not by human hands, but by heavenly orders. It awaits, not because it has been forgotten, but because it is reserved. During the Byzantine period, when the Roman Empire became Christian, the gate was reverently rebuilt. It was believed that Jesus had entered through it during his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Pilgrim records of the time already called it the Golden Gate, not because of its color, but because of the golden hope it represented, a door of glory, of prophetic fulfillment, back It is difficult to imagine another place with so much symbolic weight in one geographic point. Serious archaeologists, such as Dan Bahat and David Usishkin, believe that there are even older layers there. The current structure may date back to the 7th century, but beneath it, there may be stones from the time of Solomon's temple or Herod's renovations. In other words, it is not just a gate. It is a gateway on sacred foundations, literally. It is built on the faith of millennia, on prayers, sacrifices, and visions. With each layer excavated, we come closer to the origins of the relationship between God and His people, and that is why it is so disturbing. Rulers throughout history have tried to ignore it, hide it, or use it for their own interest, but no one has managed to remove it from the center of the prophetic narrative. Not the Ottoman Sultan, not modern political conflicts, not those who wish to erase it from the spiritual map of humanity. It remains, and the more time passes, the more it grows in significance. The more it is ignored, the more it resurfaces in conversations, visions, and expectation. The Golden Gate is not just a stone entrance. It is an intersection between eternity and the now, between what was promised and what is to come, between the king who came humbly riding a donkey and the king who will return with power and glory. Maybe that's why he's sealed. Not because it was forgotten, but because the time has not yet come. And when it arrives, no wall will stop it. No stone will resist, because what God determines, not even the most powerful empires can contain. The year was 1541. The Ottoman Empire was at the height of its power, and Jerusalem was under the control of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. He was a strategic and learned man, but also extremely cautious about any move that might threaten his authority. It was then that he made a strange and silent decision, ordered the Golden Gate to be closed forever, not with a lock, not with guards, but with stones. Brick by brick, he sealed what many considered the entrance of the Messiah. But why? The explanation most accepted among historians is as simple as it is profound. Suleiman knew the prophecies. He knew that, according to the Jewish people, the Messiah would come from the east, descend the Mount of Olives, and enter through that gate. And for him, this kind of expectation was dangerous. A people with hope is a people difficult to control. So by sealing the gate, he was not just closing a passage. I was trying to stop a promise, a political act disguised as architecture. But he went further. He had a Muslim cemetery built right in front of the gate. This may seem like a minor detail, but it was much more than that. According to Jewish law, a priest, that is, someone in the messianic lineage, cannot pass through a cemetery without becoming ritually impure. So the gate was now not just physically blocked. It was spiritually surrounded. It was like building an invisible wall, made of fear, tradition, and law. What Suleiman may not have known, or perhaps chose to ignore, is that God's plans are not undone by human decisions. By trying to stop a prophecy, he ended up reinforcing its value. Because today, the entire world knows about this gate. Today, millions of Christians, Jews, and scholars wonder why such a powerful ruler was so afraid of a promise, and what he tried to bury under cement, God kept alive in the hearts of the faithful. Since then, the Golden Gate has never been opened again. Not for lack of trying, but for something greater. It has become a symbol of spiritual resistance, of a promise postponed but not forgotten, of prophetic silence. Many have tried to dig near it. Some have dared to pray before it. Others have only cried when touching it. And yet, it remains there, closed, but alive, keeping within it not only stone and dust, but the echo of eternal words. That's why this gate is different. It's not just an ancient ruin. It's an open challenge to the faith of all of us, because whoever looks at it with natural eyes only sees a sealed wall. But whoever looks at it with spiritual eyes sees a prophetic clock, a marker of time, a reminder that what God has promised, even if empires try to stop it, He will fulfill, in His own time, in His own way, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop it. The Golden Gate has been closed for nearly 500 years, and yet it continues to cause inconvenience. Governments, international organizations, religious leaders, military leaders, and scholars all keep a close eye on that chunk of stone. Why? Because there is something there that goes beyond architecture. There is a spiritual weight, an invisible battleground between what is earthly and what is prophetic, between what men want to control and what God has promised to fulfill. And it affects everyone. Over the past few decades, attempts to reopen the gate, even symbolically, have caused an uproar. There have been unauthorized excavations, clandestine prayers, and even territorial disputes over the site. Religious groups have tried to pray there. Others have simply wanted to get closer. Some have seen the gate as a national symbol, others as the key to the end times. And while all this has happened, the gate remains silent, as if waiting for the exact moment to return to the scene. Local and international authorities treat the area with extreme caution. Israelis, Palestinians, Muslims, the UN, archaeologists, they all walk on eggshells when it comes to the Golden Gate. Why? Because they know that it is not just a place. It is a point of collision between ancient promises and modern policies. Any false move there could provoke protests, conflicts, or even wars. And this reveals how much a prophecy can still disturb today's rational world. While governments debate what to do, archaeologists continue their work, with all possible care. No invasive excavations, only ground-penetrating radar, lasers, and underground maps. The goal is to understand what lies beneath that gate without touching anything considered sacred. And the results are astonishing. The foundations even seem to date back to the time of King Solomon and the Second Temple. In other words, that place physically touches the biblical story. But perhaps the most intriguing thing is not the technical data, but the emotional impact. People who pass by there report strange sensations, as if they were facing something that is yet to happen. A place that seems frozen in time, but at the same time full of a future that is pressing to happen. It's like the gate is about to move, as if God was still writing something, and this gate was the comma before the climax. And even sealed, it continues to shape decisions, awaken prayers, fuel visions. It is no wonder that so many believe that the Golden Gate will be the starting point for one of the greatest spiritual events in history. Whether it is the return of Christ, the arrival of the Messiah, or the beginning of a new era, it is center stage. The world continues to watch, but those with spiritual eyes have already understood. When God wills, this gate will open, and no one will be able to stop it. Some see the Golden Gate as just an archaeological piece. Others understand that it is more than a stone. It is a timepiece, a prophetic marker, a reminder that God never forgot His promises, and that when He decides, nothing will be able to keep closed the door He wants to open. The question for all of us is not if He will open it, but when. And more importantly, will we be prepared for what comes next? In the Christian faith, the return of Jesus is certain. It is not a myth. It is not a fable. It is a promise. He will return. And the Word says that He will come with power and glory. Many believe that this return will pass, once again, through Jerusalem, and that the Golden Gate will be the stage for this reunion between heaven and earth. Maybe that's why the gate still bothers so much, because it is at the center of something that cannot be explained with politics, but only with faith. But it is not just a question of geopolitics or religion. It is spiritual. The gate confronts us. It asks us, what about you? Are you waiting as one who watches from afar? Or are you watching as one who believes that the promise is about to be fulfilled? Because when the trumpet sounds and the King of Kings returns, there will be no time for debate. You are either on His side or you are on the outside. Either you have an open soul or you have a sealed heart. The Golden Gate is a living metaphor for many souls today, closed by trauma, by doubts, by pride, surrounded by arguments, like the cemeteries surrounding the royal entrance. But God did not give up. He keeps knocking on the doors of hearts. He keeps calling. He goes on to say, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens." The promise has not changed. The invitation still stands. And the time is getting closer and closer. Meanwhile, the world keeps running, fighting, negotiating. But there, in the east of Jerusalem, a gate remains still, not broken, not forgotten, just waiting, waiting for the sound that only the sky recognizes, waiting for the step of the one who comes to reign, waiting for the fulfillment of words spoken millennia ago. And when that day comes, the whole earth will know. Because what was sealed by history will be opened by eternity, and no one will be able to close it. If you've come this far, you might be feeling what I felt when I heard this story. Something burning inside your chest. An urgency. A hope. A certainty that we can't waste any more time. That's why I invite you. Open your heart before the gate opens. Seek God's presence now. Don't wait for the final fulfillment to decide which side you'll be on. Because when the golden gate opens, the world will never be the same again.